On the 16th of May, 2010, a disturbing video was uploaded to YouTube by a channel called Baby Alien. It shows a train at great speed zooming down the railroad towards the station. However, the main focus of this video is on the opposite track, where a train spotter is operating. The spotter is standing very close to the tracks, with a camera in hand. What happens next will shock you. Have a look. On the same track as the spotter, a train approaches him at an unbreakable speed. No one warns the man of the deadly arrival, so he remains completely unaware of the threat. Luckily, the train just misses him, as he isn't completely on the railroad. This was extremely fortunate, as a few more centimeters to the right would have killed him. The following video was filmed on a GoPro and surfaced on the 1st of August, 2022. We can see a person paragliding in a mountainous area, and since they are alone, it's safe to assume that they are an expert. However, even experts fail sometimes, and this was almost the case for YouTube paraglider Kevin Phillips. Have a look at this intense clip. During the trick, the man twists under his wing as normal, but misses the breakpoint as it comes around. This causes him to become trapped in the wing, which is a worst case scenario when paragliding. When this happens, Kevin starts fighting for his life. He immediately activates his secondary parachute, but this fails miserably. Surviving wasn't going to be an easy task. But Kevin doesn't give up. He manages to get his third parachute, but due to the mass of the wing and the strings around him, he struggles to deploy it. Kevin decides to tear open the cover, which could have made the situation worse, but it was a last-ditch effort. This effort saved his life with 1 second left to go. This video was published sometime in February to the Reddit. We can see a man about to cross the railroad whilst the car barriers are down, indicating that a train is about to zoom by. The man stupidly starts to cross the track until he reaches the halfway point. This is when the train starts squealing to warn him of its presence. The train is coming at lightning speed, and what happens next is traumatizing. Take a look. As the man takes a glance at the train, he decides the odds are in his favor and continues his crossing. Initially, he walks at a slow pace, but as he realizes his delusion, he adds some speed to his step. Luckily, he narrowly avoided being obliterated, but he definitely learned his lesson for next time. This video was recorded in Jianying on the 24th of October, 2022, and shows 2 children on top of a hotel roof. They're both on opposite sides, with the child in orange looking a lot younger than the one in purple. The boy in purple slowly approaches the gap and looks down, analyzing how far the fall is. What he does next is stupid. Have a look. The boy fancies his odds and decides to leap across the gap to the boy in orange. This property was 22 stories high, so a fall would have most definitely killed him. The shocking part of this situation is that the boy didn't only attempt this once, but jumped several times. Mr. Yin, the recorder of the video, immediately called the property staff, and the children were recovered and given a telling off. None of the children suffered any harm, but they did come close. The following footage was captured by a security camera monitoring an aluminum smelter. The video was uploaded sometime in April 2020 and captured destruction at its most extreme. We can see a large aluminum smelter located in what looks like a factory. A manually operated crane is controlling this smelter, but the man must not have been very competent because only he is to blame for what happens next. As the crane drags the smelter to the left for an unknown reason, the bucket capsizes, and the aluminum gushes out. Due to this, a somewhat explosion occurs, and the floor is severely damaged. Luckily, no one died in this situation, but the repairs must have been expensive. It's safe to say that the man who caused this incident no longer has the best relationship with his boss. Driving with a dangerous medical issue is often proposed to be illegal, and this footage backs up those claims. Here we can see a man driving on the highway playing music, but suddenly the unimaginable happens. He suffers a medical episode, and what it causes will make your jaw drop. Have a look. In the middle of the highway, the man falls asleep and leaves his car completely unmanned. This causes the vehicle to go rogue. It turns into the fields and begins driving in random directions, even hitting a fence at one point. To the man's fortune, he woke up in time and managed to regain control over his vehicle before any harm came to him. Maybe if he was asleep for another minute, the car would have reached the highway and caused problems. And those problems could have led to fatalities. This footage was filmed in an American neighborhood around 2020. It shows a dump truck driving down a road collecting waste. However, what happens at the end will shock you. Take a look. As the dump truck reaches the garbage, it picks it up like any normal day. When the garbage is collected, the bin is placed back on the floor before the operator attempts to tip the garbage into the back. As the garbage gets closer to its destination, the truck begins to emit smoke as it's working very hard to complete its task. This warning sign was ignored by the operator. Just 2 seconds later, the truck exploded and the operator dived out as quickly as he could before the cameraman stopped recording. The operator was fined. The following is CCTV footage captured on the 20th of June, 2023 in Detroit, Michigan. We see a man entering a store with a large bucket, and he pours the bucket's contents of gasoline onto the ground. After doing this, he glances behind the till to make sure nobody has seen him before executing his evil plan. Have a watch. The The man pulls out a blowtorch and starts speaking to the worker at the store. It seems like he is demanding something and threatening to set the store alight if he is refused. After going back and forth with the worker, 35-year-old Julian Miller steps out of the store and uses his blowtorch to set it on fire. The store immediately fills with flames before they engulf the CCTV camera, and the footage cuts. The store clerk survived with minor first-degree burns, and the culprit was arrested shortly after. Many people believe that using animals for transport is dangerous and unethical. This next clip backs up those claims. The following footage was filmed in Kerala during 2016 and shows a human riding the back of an elephant. It's unknown what makes this animal go rogue, but the damage it causes is insane. Take a look. First, the elephant rams into a vehicle and picks it up with his trunk. It goes on to use this vehicle to destroy the other parked vehicles in the area. It then keeps mauling the same car for about 30 seconds, piercing it apart like a Lego structure. Eventually, it gets bored of the toy and moves on to another one. It picks up a yellow truck and flings it around effortlessly. Luckily, the riders were okay, but the vehicles were far from it. While no one was injured, many bank accounts were. This footage was recorded this year by a paraglider using a GoPro. The paraglider seems comfortable in the air and is even using his phone to track how fast he is going. Shortly after declaring his speed of 48 miles per hour, his paraglider malfunctions mid-flight and he's put in a near-death situation. Have a look.
Oh man! 48 miles per hour! Come on, baby! Oh! Shit! Hey Siri, call 911. Hey Siri, call 911. Call 911. Emergency.
As the man is cruising, a tension knot starts to build up in the glider, and due to being on his phone, he completely overlooks it. This mistake causes the paraglider to fail, and he begins hurling towards the ground. There are many videos of people saving themselves in these situations, but this time, the man takes the impact. Fortunately, he wasn't too high in the air, so he managed to avoid fatality, but not many people have a near-death experience as close as this one. This next video shows a small village in Africa being delivered some gas cylinders by a truck until everything goes horribly wrong. All I'll spoil is that the witnesses were lucky to come out alive. Have a look.
Go! Up! Awas! Veteran! Wah, ari itu yang bahaya. Berani kali orang itu dekat. Berani kali itu dekat.
As the truck drops off its load, the fire instantly catches onto the wood and forms a massive bonfire. This fire continues to rage for the rest of the minute-long clip and slowly gets bigger. Luckily, it didn't get too big, but the residents have to thank the driver for that. They managed to drop the load away from any buildings or trees, which stopped the situation from escalating further. If it wasn't for such a great thinker, this fire could have gone way out of proportion and likely would have ended lives. The pit bull is a vicious species of dog. In fact, they are banned in over 13 countries, and many US states also have laws against them. Some people argue against them being illegal and preach that any dog species can cause damage. This footage captured by CCTV, however, silences these protests. Have a look. As the women are walking their dogs, a pit bull approaches them aggressively. This causes the women to pick up their pets and cross the street frantically, but they wouldn't be getting away that easily. The pit bull bites the ankle of the woman in orange shorts and refuses to let her free. The woman, being in danger, hands her pet to one of her friends, who runs away, while the other friend stays and desperately tries to free her. Unfortunately, none of their efforts help, until a man across the street runs to the rescue. He quickly puts the pit bull in a chokehold and rips it off the woman, who immediately escapes the scene. After some time, the man releases the dog, which lies down in defeat. After 5 seconds, the dog flees from the man. The upcoming video was recorded by a security camera on the 2nd of January 2024. We can see a father standing with his son, but little do any of them know that they are in grave danger. Take a look. All of a sudden, a car nearby decides to start reversing aggressively toward the victims. The toddler stands and does nothing, but the father quickly jumps into action, grabbing the child and dashing away. 1 second after the pair escaped the car's path, it collided with a building behind them, and some locals came to witness the scene. Thankfully, to everyone's fortune, nobody was injured. The following footage was uploaded to Reddit around a year back and shows us an insane event. We can see a building on fire, and the cameraman is recording from a balcony near the scene. This fire goes out of hand very quickly and becomes incredibly big. Have a look. As the flames slowly spread, the fire starts to cover the building until suddenly it explodes completely. Several large explosions occur, emitting huge amounts of black smoke in the surrounding air. After the explosion, not much of the fire was left, and we can hear sirens indicating the arrival of firemen. It's safe to assume that the mess was cleaned up accordingly. Around 2 months ago, a group of helicopters were flying over the Malaysian coast when something dreadful happened. The cameraman was on the ground, spectating these spectacular airborne vehicles. He was completely clueless as to what was about to occur. Have a watch. Mid-flight, 2 of the helicopters collide into each other and immediately enter danger. They both start spiraling toward the ground with no way to stop themselves and eventually land in a swimming pool. Unfortunately, all 10 crew members on these helicopters died from the impact, so there were no survivors from this event. This could have occurred due to it taking 10 minutes for local authorities to be aware of the incident. There are many amazing things for people to witness in life. One of those things is a van on fire, still driving, leaving a trail of smoke and flames behind. Take a look. As the inflamed truck enters the frame, we see a vibrant orange fire being left behind in its path. Most drivers would have dived out of the vehicle in this situation, but the driver in this video wants to be a hero. He continues driving the truck away from all the people to stop the fire from harming bystanders. The Pakistani driver survived the incident and received a Medal of Valor from the government and the respect of the nation. The following video was recorded on a CCTV camera in a store in Curacao. We can see a man in orange on his phone, wearing a face mask. As the man begins to make a phone call, the camera cuts to a group of school children outside the shop who are having fun. However, this fun shortly turns into panic. Have a look. As the kids are living their lives, a pickup truck starts heading towards them. This truck then rams through the children and crashes into the store. The kids then all start dispersing, and a few crawl from underneath the truck. Luckily, 6 of the children were injured, but only 1 had to go to the hospital. The driver reported that he meant to press on the brake pedal, but accidentally pushed down on the accelerator. This is supposedly what caused this shocking footage to become existent. This video was recorded at an annual festival in Tunji on the 14th of November 2014. As the video begins, a hot air balloon is seen rising into the air. This particular balloon is stacked with fireworks meant to explode when the balloon was at a safe distance from the crowd. Having fireworks in a hot air balloon is something extremely concerning, as the oxygen from the air could potentially fuel the fireworks and cause an unwanted explosion. Regardless of this, people were willing to risk their lives and attend the event, but little did they know that that this could have easily been a fatal mistake. Take a watch.
Get over here. Jack, two of you, turn around. Check. Check. It's so beautiful.
As the spectators ignorantly watched on, the balloon came crashing down into the crowd. The sheer magnitude of the explosion was captured by the person behind the camera, who seemingly ducked upon impact. The insane part is that this event went on in the first place. In my opinion, it was a disaster waiting to happen. Thankfully, however, during the event, only 9 people were injured, but surprisingly, there wasn't a single fatality. This clip was uploaded to YouTube on the 24th of July, 2022, and has over 1 million views. It shows a woman attempting to climb a steep cliff. As she continues to climb, she starts to struggle, and we can see her arms bulging their last efforts. This causes the following to happen. Take a look. She lost all control of her grip and came hurling down the steep cliff. Usually, her harness would have broken her fall, but the pressure made it snap and she fell with no security. She landed directly on her partner, and thankfully she moved, so she definitely wasn't dead, but it is safe to say she definitely had a few broken bones. The following footage was captured with CCTV on the 10th of March 2017. It is recording a clothing store full of customers selecting what they want to buy. These customers range from elderly all the way to a child, but no matter the age, they were about to face grave danger. Have a look. Outside the storefront, we can see a car slowing down as it parks. However, instead of coming to a halt, it gains a burst of speed and smashes through the windows. Glass is sent all around the store, and a few of the women in the bottom right get run over by the vehicle. Also in the bottom right, there is a toddler who luckily uses one of the store's desks as a defense. As the car collides with the desk, the kid is caught under it and makes no contact with the car. The mother of the child immediately runs to him despite being injured herself. Everyone in the store remained alive, but most of them did have injuries to show for the event. The upcoming video was recorded on an unknown date using the security cameras in a laundromat. We can see a man with his clothes exiting the store, opening the door slowly with his foot. When he exits the building, the door begins to close itself, but little did he know that 12 seconds later, the unexpected would happen. Take a look. The door of the washing machine flies open, and the dirty laundry from inside pours onto the floor. Immediately after this, the washing machine explodes, which destroys the entrance, tiles, and the walls. Don't even ask me how the chairs managed to survive the explosion. It's crazy to think that if the man's laundry took just 12 seconds more, he could have been extremely injured, or even worse, dead. This footage was recorded from someone's mobile phone in Brazil. It shows a man using a lighter on a piece of rope dangling from a hot air balloon. This hot air balloon is full of fireworks, ready to explode when the balloon reaches a safe height. However, this doesn't go to plan. Have a look.
Libera, pessoal! Libera!
Aí, a emoção! Olha isso, rapaziada! Show, show! Cabeça, rapaz, olha isso.
É louco, cara.
Você é louco, viu? Que merda, velho. Puta, que merda. Nossa, cara, você é louco, mano.
As the hot air balloon gets higher and higher, you can hear the excitement in the voices of the spectators. This excitement only lasts 20 seconds though, as the fireworks go off way too early. This causes a range of firework explosions to hurl towards the ground and bomb the people on the floor. Immediately after the explosion, everyone runs to take cover under a shed-like structure. This keeps the spectators from suffering harm from their idiocracy to try this event out in the first place. The following video was recorded on the dashcam of a car on the highway. In front of the recorder's car is a truck in the same lane as him. It's late at night, so both drivers were likely tired, but the truck driver must have had a long day because what happens next is crazy. Take a look. The truck starts to change lanes without warning, and the car driver verbally sounds shocked at the situation. It's a second later, however, that the truck goes far beyond the next lane and off the highway completely. The truck starts drifting all over the place, leaving large amounts of gas in its trail. Eventually, the smoke covers the camera, filming the incident. Fortunately, for all drivers in the area, the guardrails on the side of the road prevented the truck from exiting its direction of traffic. These guardrails saved the lives of cars in the oncoming traffic. The upcoming clip took place on a Mexican beach in Cabo San Lucas. We can see a bull and a woman in frame, and the bull is trying to steal the woman's bag. The woman is adamant that she will keep the bag and continues to take it back from the bull, but this is a very bad mistake. Have a watch.
Ay, la señora. Vele a ayudar, córrele.
Hey, por atrás.
¡Por atrás!
Hey, por atrás, gordo. Por atrás, güey. Hey, cuidado, cuidado,
As the woman is getting the bag back, you can hear the lifeguards begging her to give up and get away. However, the stubborn woman decides to ignore the professionals and continue her standoff with the bull. A few moments later, it starts to approach her with its solid horns and rams into her body. Eventually, it manages to knock her to the floor, and it continuously rams her like she's a ragdoll. To the woman's fortune, the bull decides to spare her and steps back as the bystanders cautiously come to her aid. The following video contains one of the biggest idiots in human history as he is being filmed by his friend. We can see a Jeep trying to cross the railroad, but it can't seem to get enough power to lift itself over the track. The man recording the car starts shouting warnings to the driver, who seemingly doesn't react. A train is coming, and it's coming fast. Is the man able to survive? Have a watch for yourself.
Блять, понял, сука! Вылазь, Ильдар! Да вылазь, блядь! Пизда! Ебать! Ебать! Пизда! Пиздец!
As the train becomes more clear in shot, the driver realizes his fate is zooming towards him. He instantly dives out of the car, shuts the door, and then runs off the train's path. The train completely obliterates the Jeep without any struggle, and if the driver didn't escape, it would have done the same to him. The following footage was recorded in Japan on the 1st of January 2024. It was captured using the dash cam of a vehicle and caught the moment that a 7.5 magnitude earthquake hit the area. As the earthquake begins, the buildings start to shake vigorously, but what happens moments later is shocking. Have a look. All around the car, the buildings begin to collapse and dust is shot across the neighborhood. Eventually, the footage cuts to a new angle. On this angle, a man is riding his bike when the disaster begins and immediately launches it to the floor. He then goes back and forth trying to maintain his balance, putting himself in a good position to avoid the collapse of any building. When the building gives in, the man takes his opportunity and runs away from this dangerous location. Sadly, at least 30 people died from this event. The upcoming clip was captured 2 months ago. We can see a FedEx plane making an emergency landing on its way to Istanbul as its nose gear failed to deploy. At first, this landing looks smooth, and you wouldn't expect a death to come of it. However, as the plane progresses down the runway, this is no longer the case. Take a look. The friction at the bottom of the plane causes an unexpected heat to build up, which ignites a flame. This flame burns away at the bottom and very quickly makes this situation life or death for the passengers. Fortunately, the skilled pilot brings the plane to a halt just in time, which stops the friction and the flames. Thankfully, there were no reported casualties from the landing. The following video was caught in Mumbai on the 29th of September using a night vision security camera. We can see a woman sitting on a bench in a foresty area, minding her own business. Behind the woman, however, are two glaring eyes, likely coming from an animal of some sort. In this situation, the animal is feeling like a predator and spots its prey. Have a watch. As the woman starts leaning to her left, the cat comes out of the shadows and pounces onto her. The woman starts scrambling around, thinking of how to defend herself, and resorts to the walking stick in her hand. She starts batting the cat multiple times until it takes a step back and evaluates the situation. After about 3 seconds of calculating its chances, the cat turns away and leaves the woman alone. She was left with only minor injuries. The upcoming video was uploaded to YouTube around 5 years ago and shows security footage of a warehouse. We can see two workers on platforms installing a beam, but the concentration is on the one in orange. Something terrible is about to happen to him. Take a watch. As the man is holding the beam, the crane starts to lose its control. This causes the beam to lean in the direction of the man and forces platform to collapse. As the platform collapses, so does the man, and he falls to the ground with the heavy beam coming right after him. This beam is more than heavy enough to cause a death. Luckily though, it narrowly missed the man, and he left the scene unharmed. It's the 4th of April, 2020, and a Chinese man is enjoying his Saturday afternoon in the living room. All is peaceful until suddenly a charging battery across the room decides to pop open and start emitting smoke. Curious, the man walks over to the battery as it continues to let out even more smoke. This is when he realizes an explosion is inevitable, and what he does next to save himself and his family is unbelievable. Have a look. As the battery starts to reach dangerous temperatures, it finally gives in and completely explodes with the man right next to it. After this, all we can see is an orange screen with the flames off-center for 40 seconds until the man can be seen running from the house alive. After investigating, local news outlets found out that the man used a fire suppression machine to stop the fire from getting out of hand. This machine saved him from suffering any potential injuries and possibly losing his life. Driving under the influence of alcoholic beverages is illegal in almost every country, and rightfully so. The following footage is a perfect example of why this is the case. We can see a mother and a daughter having a drink outside their house on a nice plastic table set. As the mother pours her drink, a blue car comes into frame and is speeding down the road. At first, it sways away from the sidewalk, but all of a sudden, it sharply turns toward them. Have a look. The car hits the pole behind the mother, which is likely made of metal since it took no damage. This meant that all the force from the crash was put on the car's hood, which made sure none of the 3 people involved were harmed. The only repercussions of the crash were a lot of money to fix the car and the lasting trauma for the mother. The following footage was recorded on the highway in Tampa Bay, Florida. It was filmed using a woman's phone in the passenger seat as she was filming her husband's car. Little did she know, she was about to be the recorder of one of the rarest instances possible. Take a look at this fascinating clip. A flash of orange lightning hits the back of the truck as it's driving. Shortly after, a purple follow-up strike narrowly misses the vehicle recording the incident. Reportedly, everyone in the truck was unharmed, but the truck itself was quoted completely fried. The upcoming clip was recorded at the Cherry Festival in Transverse City, Michigan. We can see people on a carnival ride, swinging from left to right, but suddenly, it starts to tip over. If the ride was to fall backwards, the force of the fall could be fatal for people on the ride. Have a watch.
Oh my God.
As a man notices the ride is about to fall, he runs over and uses his weight to hold it in place. By himself, this would do nothing, but he caused a chain reaction of bystanders to come and copy him. By the end, there were around 20 people holding the ride in place, and it really shows the power of humans coming together. The following video was uploaded to Reddit a few months ago and was recorded from a car in Nebraska. We can see a huge tornado in front of the car blocking the road entirely, and what the driver decides to do will leave you shocked. Have a look. As the tornado continues to rage on, the man thinks the smart idea is to get a little closer. The sheer size of the tornado definitely means it's carrying a lot of debris, so getting in its range should be considered extremely dangerous. Regardless, the group wanted to record the incident like no other, and proceeded to approach. Luckily, they didn't get too close, so they did survive, but they were pushing their luck to the maximum. The upcoming clip was recorded on a mountain by a group doing ice climbing. At the time this clip was taken, however, they were crossing a glacier. In the opening frames, we can see a man in blue tying his harness to ensure his safety, but that would have had no effect if the following event didn't pan out in his favor. Have a watch.
Bora, com a gente, hein? Да. Блин, камеру включить забыл.
Suddenly, the man takes a glance back and sees a huge boulder rolling down the mountain towards him and his friends. When he realizes what's coming, he stands still and watches it for a bit as it rolls down. This is because a boulder's path is unpredictable, and trying to dodge it too early could potentially put you more in its path. As it gets close, the group untie their harnesses and start running to the right before, fortunately, the boulder's crash course tilts to the left and avoids them completely. Thankfully, the people were left with no injuries, but definitely learned to keep their eye out in the future. The following clip was filmed on a 360-degree security camera. We can see a car zooming down the road, way above the speed limit, with its headlights on. As it approaches the turning point of the road, it starts indicating that it's going right, but a red car is in the way, which rules off this maneuver. This causes the upcoming event to happen, and it even leads to the loss of a human life. Take a look. As soon as the cars hit the building, it comes crashing down on them. All of the bricks and dust make the vehicles invisible, but the men inside them manage to survive. On the darker side though, there was a person living inside the building who didn't have a metal car protecting themselves. Unfortunately, the building crushed and killed them. The upcoming footage was recorded aboard an ultralight helicopter above a rural area. It shows us the aircraft cruising through the air comfortably without issue. But this isn't the case for long. All of a sudden, the engine fails the passengers, and they are unexpectedly thrown into a life or death situation. Have a look. As the chopper loses its ability to stay airborne, it starts to lose altitude fast. This is because ultralight helicopters tend to be low speed with high drag, making them fall a lot faster. As the helicopter closes in on the ground, the pilot tries his hardest to keep it upright to make the landing as smooth as possible. But to his dismay, he fails, and they tumble around like a rag doll after landing. It wasn't the worst case scenario though, because both people aboard walked away with minor bruises and no other injuries to their name. The following video was recorded in Washington in December of 2012. The person recording this video is in the safety of a car by the railroad, but the approaching chain couldn't be further away from his situation. Next to the train was a muddy hill which looked ready to collapse at any minute. What it does is insane, so have a watch.
Holy shit.
The hill begins to fall apart and drops all its mass onto the train and its load. Upon impact, the front carriages were derailed, and the train was demobilized. The derailed carriages had no human passengers, so no one was hurt except the operator, who likely had minor injuries. Many people have a fear of flying in airborne vehicles, and this next video is designed to fuel that fear even more. It was filmed on the 23rd of July, 1951, and shows one of the worst plane crashes ever recorded. The plane was piloted by US Navy Captain George C. Duncan, and the crazy thing is, he survived. Just take a look. The bottom of the plane crashes into the edge of the ship and completely explodes, leaving a trail behind it as it drags across the ship. The amount of smoke left behind was impossible to see through, and the raging fire was a serious threat to everyone aboard the ship. Hoses were quickly deployed to combat the fire, and eventually it was put out. But how did the pilot survive such a drastic plane crash? Just as the plane smashed into the ship, Duncan kicked the nose of the plane upwards, which split the plane in half. This meant that his cockpit was the only part of the vehicle not in flames, and he wasn't disintegrated. However, the fireball did end up scorching his ears. This was all he had to show for the crash. On the 16th of March 2024, the upcoming video was captured in Maryland. It was around 1:30 a.m., and a container vessel struck one of the center pillars of the Key Bridge, resulting in a collapse. The speed of the bridge's collapse is incredible and will make your jaw drop. Have a watch. As the vessel hits the bridge's pillar, the entire structure falls into the river in a matter of seconds. Once the bridge collapses, the authorities begin to search for casualties all around the area and find a heartbreaking number. 4 people were confirmed dead after being found submerged in a truck, and an estimate comes in at 20 total victims. The following footage was captured on the 27th of February 2024 on a Hawaiian beach. On board the helicopter are American tourists from Maryland, but after this event, they'll never travel in the air again. Take a look. As they fly over the mountains, the pilot looks up and notices that the propellers have stopped working. This is when he realizes he must execute a crash landing. He starts tilting the vehicle in the direction of flat land and tries to keep the chopper upright during the descent. This is a success. The helicopter lands perfectly flat on the beach, but couldn't hold the position for long. Almost immediately, it rolled around on the floor with the passengers inside and ended up looking like this. Luckily, a Jack Harder helicopter spotted the group on the ground and made the local services aware of the crash landing. Shortly after, a response team was sent out and found that only one tourist was injured in his back area. The victim was treated and the scene was cleared without any real struggle. The video you're about to see took place in Brazil about 4 years ago. We can see a helicopter with its propellers swirling at the side of the road, but they wouldn't be swirling for much longer. Have a look. A truck turns off the road and starts heading towards the helicopter. As it gets closer, the suspense builds until suddenly the two make contact with one another. The propellers of the helicopter rip the truck to shreds, while the truck causes the helicopter to lose a few of its parts. With both vehicles destroyed, it's a matter of injuries and survival in this situation. Miraculously, the truck driver only had a few minor injuries to show for his roadside accident. The helicopter's owner was also fine, as he was outside the door when the truck came crashing in. The following footage was captured in India on the 6th of February 2024. We can see a raging fire traveling hundreds of feet in the air, with a bunch of sparks shooting from the bottom. The person recording is far away from the fire with a group of friends on the road. The problem is that they aren't far away enough. Take a look. As time goes on, the fire gets progressively bigger, but the person recording stays at the same distance. In their mind, they think that they are too far away to be affected from the fire, but this couldn't be further from the truth. In the bottom left of the screen, the fire catches something extremely flammable because a huge explosion happens. The people recording the incident managed to run away quick enough and didn't suffer from the event, but many others cannot say the same. 149 people were injured from the explosion, and unfortunately 11 people died, which are very large numbers. The upcoming video was recorded on the 13th of February 2024 in Turkey by a worker who was a safe distance from what is happening. We can see a huge landslide in the distance, filling the valley beneath it, but when you get more context, it's much more tragic. Have a watch. This landslide is happening above a gold mine, and it still has miners operating within it. Minister Ali Yerlikaya claims that 9 workers were trapped in the mine when the landslide began, and local rescuers were desperately trying to recover them. The miners weren't the only people in danger from the natural disaster, however. The mine had a large storage of cyanide, and its collapse could allow the substance to contaminate the surrounding areas. The amount of injuries and deaths are unknown for this clip. The following clip emerged to Reddit around 2 years ago and showcases a phenomenon of an event. It happened on the 21st of July, 2022 at a pool party. We can see a large amount of people in and around the pool minding their business, but then the unthinkable happens. Have a look.
וואו, יש בולען בבריכה, כפרה. מישהו צילם את זה? מישהו צילם את זה? הטיקטוק מה?
All of a sudden, a sinkhole opens up in the pool and starts sucking in everything around it. We can see a blurred man close to the edge who falls into the hole, but everyone else seems to be okay. One man approaches the hole to check on the guy who fell in, but the rest hold on to the badminton net for dear life. Eventually, the floaties in the pool cover the hole with the man still inside, and he hasn't been found to this day. Many people believe he was dragged into the earth by the receding pool water, which is most likely the scenario. This terrifying video surfaced on the internet in early 2023 and shows a small yacht in US oceans. This yacht has been lost at sea, and the person recording the video is in a helicopter on a mission to save them. We can see a member of the rescue team swimming towards the yacht down below, and they made it just in the nick of time for what's about to unfold. Take a look. A huge wave starts to approach the yacht before the swimmer even reaches it. The trained swimmer stays still in the situation, ready to survive the wave, but the unmanned boat gets tossed around like a toy. Luckily, the rescue swimmer managed to overcome the wave and save the man on board the yacht before his team took him to a nearby hospital. He ended up okay. The following footage was captured at a school gymnasium in North Carolina by CCTV. We can see a group of children running around and having fun during a PE session until something out of their nightmares came out of nowhere. Have a watch. During their PE lesson, a storm was going on outside. On the surface, this should have caused no problems as they are indoors away from the weather, but the storm found its way to affect them. Suddenly, it ripped through the wall of the building as debris started to fly everywhere. The children started to run in the opposite direction to protect themselves and got away just in time. CNN managed to interview some of the students in the gymnasium and found some key information. The students were playing basketball at the time, but all of a sudden it sounded like an explosion went off. The child interviewed was one of the 3 who got injured, but all of them made it to the hospital and were released. The school remained closed for the following days before all the students came back as normal. The upcoming video was recorded using CCTV that was monitoring a light rail in Arizona. We can see a peaceful street with not much movement for about 4 seconds until a small truck approaches the railway. This is a moment before disaster. Have a look. Before the truck can stop, a train appears on the right-hand side and heads towards it. Luckily, the train is running at a slow pace, or in this situation, could have ended up much worse than it actually did. The train smashes into the back of the truck and derails itself in the process, but everyone involved was very fortunate that day. The truck driver and the train's passengers both remained unharmed, but the train's operator suffered minor injuries. After some investigation, people came to the conclusion that the train's operator caused this to happen. They ran through a red light when they should have stopped and put everyone's life in danger.